People are legit so pissed at COD, they want the entire game to fail. It's not their game anymore. And even for the people who it is their game, the structure of Call of Duty and a new game every single year with alternating dev studios, a lot of that is dated. But from what I see and experience overall, the new game has some improvements, but they also have so many problems. The bugs and crashes are so frustrating that it'll get people to actually quit. And even with Season 3 just released, especially in Battle Royale and DMZ, I see a lot of these firsthand. Other games are providing this experience to many degrees. Look at Valorant. Fortnite has been getting crazy updates. Apex Legends, League of Legends. Not that those games are perfect, but even when you look at Overwatch becoming Overwatch 2, or Counter-Strike becoming Counter-Strike 2. COD's Warzone 1 to 2 lost all of the skins, and if you've seen some of the ones in the shop recently, they are reselling the same skins just on the new versions of whatever the old guns were. But of course, you have to buy it all again. A lot of those games, though, are not your classic Call of Duty. Enter XDefiant. I'm not going to explain the whole game. I'm sure you've heard other people talk about it or even looked it up by now. But this is a game made by ex-COD devs and pros, creating specifically a respawn arcade-style shooter, more classic to older school Call of Duties. Super fast movement, snappy gameplay, quick scoping. It brings back a lot of Black Ops 3 vibes as well with specialists, as there's different abilities that you can choose. Build up to an ultimate and pop off. But why all the hype for it? I have been asked about this game more than almost any others recently. To start, it's being made by Ubisoft, which has a ton of popular games under their umbrella. Obviously, AAA studio here. But from the people I've talked to, videos I've been watching online, outside of just the specific game, I think there is a massive opportunity for a new game right now. People are looking for the next big shooter game, like what PUBG was, Fortnite was, Warzone was, especially because all of the games in the respawn category, I'll say, have been shit in the bed recently. Halo Infinite's launch started strong, even coming out early before we expected, but they had no content, and they lost everybody after that. Battlefield 2042, like Halo Infinite, also in a much better spot now, but they burned so many people with such a bad launch with, again, a ton of bugs and just a changing direction of the game. That combined with a limited amount of new content, especially compared to some of their powerhouse launches like Battlefield 4, most people gave up or they're just waiting for the next game. And of course, the one that everybody's comparing it to, COD multiplayer, a lot of people moved on because of the lack of content. They didn't have ranked at launch, not a lot of maps, and even some of the maps they did have had to be completely removed from the game. That in combination with the change of direction in the game, although a lot of it was already changed back in Modern Warfare 2019, they keep iterating away from where a lot of the very hardcore players want to keep going, which in some ways may not be the very worst thing. While introducing ranked did bring a lot of players back, now that they've completed a season of it in COD, XDefiant is still very appealing to a lot of those guys. This game is going to have a dedicated ranked mode, and with a nice skill gap that it makes it even more appealing. There are also so many people that want just a good casual shooter game. That's one of the reasons I've been playing so much DMZ and seeing so many people actually falling in love with that mode as well. But that's also not even a respawn shooter, and most people don't even want to try it. The thing here is XDefiant is very much leaning more for the competitive side, the sweatier players. No skill-based matchmaking, which means if you're brand new to the game, you can get matched up with somebody who's already got 1,000 hours is going to pop off on your ass. Insane movement. You need to actually learn how to slide, jump, cancel, outmaneuver, and play enemies because there's also slightly higher time to kill. Red dots, once again, appearing on the map when you shoot. Being aware and knowing to check the attack map gives you intel over other players that aren't good at staying glued to the map. But I think regardless of how you play the game, you could be happy that there's more maps than even COD had at the launch of their game. And so far, they seem very well received with kind of the similar 3-lane classic COD style. This has led to a ton of the top Call of Duty players to hop onto the game and is creating a massive snowball effect. Honestly, I had not paid any attention to this game. I maybe had heard of it, but I never looked into it. This has been in development for quite a while, but everybody else talking about it and playing it is what got me to hop on and try it. So how does it actually feel? They definitely lose the realism aspect and focus on the arcade, fast action, run and gun. And I saw a lot of people saying that it looked and felt clunky. This can happen when games become too real, like Escape from Tarkov, when they add inertia and you try and go this direction and then try and go the other direction. You can't just quick constantly, and even like Rainbow Six Siege. They take away some of those arcadey elements. to make it look a little bit more realistic, or maybe to be not as annoying to fight, because that can also happen when things are too unrealistic. Playing this game, it almost felt odd how fast you could run while strafing sideways. Being able to constantly slide jump felt like slide canceling. In Warzone 1, crossing an open field, and I got to keep hitting this button combination just to get there 5% faster. I think visually, the animations can't keep up with the actual actions because of how fast some of those go, and that might be where some people find this clunkiness. Once you get some of the attachments on, you can reload so fast. Your recoil recenters super fast. ADS times, you name it, which is very fun. Call of Duty has shifted much more in that direction, even with their gestures that are, well, nope, those aren't in Warzone 2. They left that in Warzone 1. But weapon inspects, climbing and mantling, although that doesn't work well on rocks. And there's tons of exceptions even to that, where you can dolphin dive and do a 360 spin while you're diving. But overall, the feel of the game is that they have opened this up to a higher skill ceiling, which is what the sweats want. That, combined with no skill-based matchmaking, makes it so that those good players are going to rip other people apart, even if they're not the new person to the game. Isn't that bad, though? Don't you want to protect the new players? Well, this works if the incentives are there for these players in the long term, because it gives them something to actually work towards to get better at. But it also requires often new players to continually come in so you can keep dumping on them. That is what made COD back in the day. So many new players kept coming in. Game keeps growing. Being good at this game now is a bragging right. People are going pro, making YouTube content on it. You have that incentive to keep on getting better, even if it's just for the sake of you and the buds having a good time and seeing your own team make progress. But I think when you start to see a game decline, that speeds up the rate of decline. When you don't have new players and casuals really don't even have a chance, having a skill gap just keeps on dumping those people out of the game. And I think that's what we've seen a lot with COD and why they've tried to make the game so much more luck and bring down the skill level. So in essence, this is a very bold move to make it a solid skill gap. But the question is, how much demand really is there for this style of game in 2023 and beyond? The core structure and integration of this game is awesome. It's in line with what you would want to see. Free to play, cross play, available on all platforms, at least the major consoles here. This is the formula that you need baseline. Fortunately for me, when I went on and played, I do have a very strong background in shooter games, so I did well. It felt like I was at home playing it. Lots of guns, lots of classes, abilities, especially for a beta, and the day I was playing it, they unlocked everything. So even though I didn't grind out and level everything up, I got to try a lot of different combinations. Even using the real gun names like the MP7, the ACR was in there. Typically in games now, I like to snipe, and the sniping felt very good in this, although it is far more quickscope focused than how I usually run it. And for something like this, the pure run and gun SMG was by far my favorite. That with the healing class felt extremely broken to me, especially outmaneuvering people that clearly were just trying the game for the first time. But what I quickly felt was lackluster wins. When I started going on a kill streak, I really just did not care. For me, this was the best part about Call of Duty, and I wish more games would implement kill streaks. I get it. That's kind of their thing. People want to differentiate away from it. But getting chopper gunners, attack dogs, advanced UAVs, having ways to help the team, as well as, of course, myself pop that KD up, that was the dopamine that I could keep fighting for and made me want to continue to learn the game. I had that own interest of, man, I want to be able to get advanced UAV, chopper gunner, and dogs in one life. I want to get all the way to the nuke. I want to pop a Moab. I'm not trying to be #1 esports player in the world. I never played ranked on it. I just want to pop off. You do get awards, it looked like bonus XP and such for it, but I didn't really get anything like that in this game. Maybe I just didn't find it yet, or it isn't in the game yet. Not that it absolutely needs it as well, because I switched over from Call of Duty to Battlefield, as most of you all know. But there was still a lot of differentiators in that game. The epic scale of battle, the ability to fly planes and tanks. What made me fall in love with sniping? Projectile systems. You had to deal with the lead and the drop of the bullet. Are you kidding me? And of course, the insane destructible environment. It had a lot of other really big selling points as just a casual dude playing games that I loved and I thought was epic. This feels like a fantastic core game, with a caveat I'll mention in a bit, but What is the evolution to draw me to play? You may have found that from everything I've even discussed so far, but I haven't found that personally. As soon as I realized I was grinding guns and attachments as my end game goal, and eventually, go to ranked, climb that, I was getting over it. This is something that I personally hate that Call of Duty still does. How have we not evolved past this? It literally makes it so the experience on COD is like, yeah, Shipment's my favorite map. Yeah, is it a pretty good map? Sure, but the reason everybody loves it is because you can power level guns so quickly. They've designed the game so bad that it forces you to go buy double XP so you can play other modes and have a good time leveling. Or you hope they drop this close quarter map so you can just get this done with. I get it though, for many people, they log in. That's the main reason. They want to keep grinding their camos. They already invested 100 hours. They want to get it done. I don't have any golden guns in the game. I find it way more fun to actually play with all the attachments, try different combinations. Back in Warzone 1, that's what I did so much of. We had 150 weapons to choose from. And look, I'm not saying that grinding weapons are bad. This is a good way to progress, to learn some of the weapons, get a new ability, right? It's a standard RPG element. The question oftentimes is, what is the rate of actually getting that progress? And two, I think if this is your first time getting into shooters, whatever, this is a really great way to progress. And if you're a younger guy getting into this, whatever, great entry point. But I've done so many CODs, Battlefields, respawn shooters. They are very fun for a couple months for me. But if it's going to be a 500, 1,000 hour plus powerhouse game, like some of these other titles have been for me, I'm almost looking for something new there, if that makes sense. And I guess my point here is, people who play COD and even still enjoy it and play it all the time, I don't know if they're going to be super hyped to switch games to go and do an entirely another grind. COD already is keeping the content flowing, even if it's not the pace that you necessarily want, releasing new weapons, maps, and if it wasn't there at first, we're now on the seasonal cycle, with mid-season updates even adding more. But if XDefiant does release even more maps, which they already are at launch, and newer guns at a faster rate, that very well could be a sell. For me, even back in Battlefield, that was something that was so appealing. They had all these real guns, tons of different attachments. You could throw a red dot on all of them, kit them up however you wanted, just have fun with tons of different options, variations. But even Modern Warfare 2, over 50 weapons at launch, I don't see that yet. Although I will say, they did have a great weapon selection again. This has been the main topic most people are talking about, regardless of anything that I've seen, and that is the Netcode. This is also a beta, and they've said there's a better build already out there, but words, unfortunately, just do not mean a lot these days in gaming. Whether it's COD and they said, we fix footsteps, we fix dev errors, even stuff that's in the patch notes half the time is not actually in the patch notes. And it's not even COD specific. Even look at New World and the lag issues that they had in those wars were miserable. Always promising fixes, and with the massive amount of people, it just couldn't handle it. I've been through many empty promises with games. It's one of the reasons I typically try and under-promise and over-deliver. And maybe for the most part, that's even what they're doing here. And I'm totally wrong. They're going to fix it all. Please. But my experience actually playing the game was dying behind so many walls, getting hit markers on enemies that didn't have the numbers pop up or health go down. And it wasn't just every once in a while. It was almost every single game. Something felt weird or off. It was laggy. Maybe I was playing at the wrong time. But this is something that I've also, again, heard everybody mention. And my point with it is, why even release the game in such a bad state on that front? If you really do have a working netcode fix, why don't we just wait a couple months or whenever until it's done? I know that's not typically the trend these days, and I'm sure a lot of people are just more than eager and happy to get the game early and play it. But it does look like copium, especially since Ubisoft's track record of over-promising, especially when it comes to trailers, and then under-delivering on it, is what we've come to know and expect. I've played many early access games and even more betas, although not many of those early access games have turned into my main game, except for PUBG, which was very clunky at the beginning. But that was a game that also had something truly special and different, and it was way worth it for me for all the bugs to experience what those wins were like. And on the beta side of things, I know everybody talks about, beta is not the final version of the game, and truly it isn't, but a lot of times these betas are modern day demos. It is the final product of the game that they're giving out a little early before they do a couple final tweaks, but really that's what we're going to get. Is that the case here? We really don't know, but based off past games that we've seen over the past couple years, I wouldn't be surprised. And I will say, the devs posting on Twitter, taking community feedback, actually responding to people, while I haven't read it all, I have seen a lot of it. And that makes me far more optimistic. And I think that's probably why a lot of people are more optimistic than what they've seen from other games. So in conclusion, while I have drifted away from multiplayer shooter games. It's mostly because I haven't had the experience that I'm looking for and the fun. That's why battle royales and extraction shooters are so exciting to me. It's the next evolution from these style of games. All of those games that I play, I would love it if they had a great multiplayer, TDM, fun firing range you can practice in, and all the core elements of a Call of Duty. That's one of the reasons that I think Call of Duty's expansion into these other areas has been very good, and one of the reasons I play it so much, even though people can't understand why I play it. There it is. But I am always looking for new iterations. They are still great, chill games to play, relax on. Even playing Apex Legends Update, taking away Arena, adding control, gun game, TDM there. It's great to relax on or even sweat a little, build up some skills. More fun than playing Aim Lab, which I still do regularly just to try and keep my aim on point. This game is a fun play to unlock the skill side of me a bit more, but I'm not necessarily trying to be the best. I like having something else fun to go for. Kill streak. That's one of the reasons that I love COD so much. See what new streaks they have. How can I go for a big pop-off? And then, you know, I'm good. I don't need all the camos. I've been there and done that. And because COD has such a history and is so well known and even has the nostalgia factor too, they release a new map, new game, players are going to come back. At the end of the day, regardless of the game or whatever it is, it all comes down to the content that is being released. The amount of people that already completely gave up on Call of Duty when Warzone 1 came out and then exploded into the stratosphere. The game being dead all of a sudden is not new. This has been happening for a decade. And while it may not be the content that you want that they're releasing, they do have new content always coming at this point. They have a strong engine. In the same way, though, with XDefiant, they fix all these lag issues, come out with more updates on launch, and then continue to update it, drop new maps, content. I will give it a go. But I am also going to keep my expectations in check and don't think this is necessarily going to take over the world and kill Call of Duty. As well as this is just a brand new game, so it's missing a lot of these small details. To me, this does not feel like early access indie dev work. The actual gameplay, the frame rate, it is right up there. While I am trying to stay realistic, not get my expectations too high, the amount of input they really are pulling from the community and the engagement online, it is excellent. Especially when it comes to bugs, exploits, and things people are abusing. The faster you can patch those and just have this be the core game and experience what you're trying to create, the better. If they continue to develop and really create a lot of new content, this could be something absolutely great for them. But I've also seen so many games just be mediocre or even not well received and then immediately given up on. Even if it's not necessarily the developer's fault, but them getting allocated the resources they need to have the teams they need to make what they need to do. If it doesn't immediately blow up, then it's swept under the rug and on to the next game. I think in many ways, it's not necessarily XDefiant killing COD. It's COD killing itself. For XDefiant and everybody who hopes this is going to be the next biggest game in the entire world, I worry they're trying to improve something that isn't necessarily the direction of the masses. A lot of people will really appreciate this style of game and going back to some of the nostalgia of the classic Call of Duties. But it makes me think of Ford actually giving customers faster horses rather than cars. There's still a lot of people that appreciate faster horses, but if you want everybody to get on board, you're going to want a bigger differentiator. So I'll keep trying it out, but I'm also still looking out for the next big thing. And to me, a lot more of that interest is in the extraction shooter. From the actual experiences that I've had in all of the games that I've played now, still, nobody has done it perfectly right to what can be a massive appealing thing like what we saw with Fortnite do for Battle Royales. And even Battle Royales still, to me, have so much more potential. But as always, let me know what you guys think. Is COD really dead for this? Because I don't think so. Make sure you sub for more daily gaming videos. And if you want to hear me even talk about Dead Drop, another extraction shooter, Dr. Disrespect's new game, or any of my commentaries, scroll through some of the videos, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Stonemouse64, over and out.